like in a minute. It's live now. I'm gonna go on the screen in a sec. That's my story. Why? How long have you got left of that? You can't watch that in the bedroom, though, can you? Oh, on your phone. Can you not stream that to the TV? Doesn't have Wi-Fi, does it? You can leave it at that level and not much louder. You sure? Yesterday wasn't too bad. The level we had it yesterday. Okay. 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 And then TV off as well. I'm not on. Yeah. See you in a bit. Ba, ba, ba. Evening, folks. Oh, I'm a bit. Let's see if we can move that a bit. No, not obscured by the. Oh, oh. I'm hoping you guys can hear me okay. Let's okay. So we should have some desktop audio as well, not too loud. The background music, hoping you can hear okay. So, folks, welcome to tonight's stream. Tonight we're going to be building a PC for you as much as possible. It's only, well, it's 9:15, so it's not too bad, a bit of evening entertainment. My name is Dragos, my page is Dragos 2020, as the logo suggests. That way? No. That way. Which way? That way. That way. Whoop. Yeah. This is so confusing. So, my name is Dragos, welcome to my stream. I'm going to try and walk you through a bit of a computer build tonight, from the basics of the motherboard, to what does what, general knowledge, just a bit more aware of what goes into a computer. So whenever you go to a computer repair shop, you're not as so hopefully you get a bit more of an idea on what is happening. You go to computer repair shops, they'll tell you, oh yes, this is broken, this is broken. Ultimately, you can't really know it is broken, but you get more of an idea, I hope. Be helpful. So tonight I'm gonna build up the components that I showed you yesterday. If you watched my stream yesterday, you know, I've got a motherboard, I've got a processor, got some RAM, got a NVMe SSD, digital screen. Okay, now tonight I've managed to upgrade a bit, although my main camera for my face, but well, I didn't want to be to HD because I don't want to be even uglier than normal. I don't want you to see all my wrinkles, so I like to be a bit blurry. But I'm hoping, and hopefully this will work, if I click this button here. Yes, be live on there, so you'll be able to see a bit more what's going on. I will actually move that. Let's move that to there. Make it a bit smaller. Okay. Might move it down a bit yet. So I'm hoping that that works okay. Should be live. But that camera should be a lot better quality now. So if you're joining me, you can have, I'll give you a shout out. Any questions, any comments? Audio a bit loud, okay. So thank you for that, Jim. What I'll do is I'll turn that down and hopefully we'll get this a bit better. You'll let me know, Jim, that's okay. Sadly, I've not set up a monitor yet where I can hear it back without feedback into the laptop. At the moment, I'm using the microphone off the laptop itself, which is not ideal. I did have a microphone set up before. I seem to have misplaced it. It's only a small shotgun mic. But I'm hoping I'll find it. Thanks, Jim. So I'm hoping you guys can hear me a bit better now. I'll turn down the music a bit and put the microphone up a bit. So, what should we start with? I've got a few people watching. If you just joined, my name is Dragos 2020. So now we're building a PC. Give us a like, share, follow, subscribe. I try to create as much content as I can, as often as I can. It's been a bit crazy with the whole COVID thing. Despite being locked in, I've actually been able to go online less, which doesn't really make sense. I've been doing extra hours at work and everything, so it's been crazy. I'm sure it has been for everybody out there. So I think, without further ado, I think we're going to get cracking. Just more people joining in on our watch party here. So if you have any questions, just ask away. If you have requests that you'd like to, things that you'd like to see, second. So the thing about doing this live, nobody knows. Anything can happen. I'm hoping all the components I have work. I've not tested them. The CPU has come brand new, so I should definitely hope that works. Motherboard's brand new. All the components are brand new apart from the power supply. That's a reused one from a previous build. Uh, Now, one thing that I've not been able to do at the same time is actually record the stream, which is quite annoying. Now, Streamlabs OBS, which I use, doesn't actually allow me to. Editor, I said it's live. But it's not actually allowing me to record at the same time. Now, sadly, NVIDIA GeForce Experience doesn't let me record unless it's a game title, which is quite annoying. So I'm hopefully going to be able to draw this back from YouTube itself and then maybe edit it for an actual video to post live for future sharing. So we've got a few people watching now. So I think we're going to get cracking because time's are wasting. So let's get building. Let me check more messages. Let's see what we got. Right, let me get back on my screen here. So, first thing first, we're going to do the motherboard. This one we've got, as presented earlier, not earlier, yesterday. I've got the B450M chipset motherboard. It's the Steel Legend from ASRock. So let's get, hopefully switch on to that. Yes, good, brilliant. So, I think I can get it. You see, I think. Let me do it for you guys. So I have to try and use that with my left hand, which is going to be very awkward because although I am not too bad with both hands, I'm class myself as ambidextrous, but to what extent? Well, we'll find out. So where can we move this bad boy? Let's move that down here, get it out of the way a bit. I might drink a poo. So I've actually unboxed this yesterday. With all the leaflets and everything. It's that way. It's confusing. I don't know where things are. So for now, I don't really need many bits out of it. I will need the backplate for it. That will go in the case. I will need the M.2 screw, at least one of them. Driver disk, not so much because I'll be downloading all the latest drivers online, which I recommend anyway. Whenever you do a new build, I recommend you get the latest drivers and sorry about the noise, guys. And the BIOS updates if any available from the manufacturer. This ensures like compatibility and everything. Now on here I already have the CPU, which is a Ryzen 7. Can't really see it. Zoom in. Yeah. It's a Ryzen 7 2700X core CPU. This one. So on this board we actually got our NVMe SSD M2, which is Western Digital green, which again I showed you guys yesterday. It's quite a don't really need this. I wish I could add. I think next time what I'll do, I'll try and have both. See if I can add a little. I'm going to try and have my face, my beautiful face, also as a little thumbnail somewhere, so you can see a bit better, because I can show you bits and pieces. So instead of maybe I want to do it, see if I can add it on here, folks. See if oh yes, let's see if you want to bust up my hey, so I can be down there. Yeah, that's still live. See if I can make it a bit bigger. Now, okay, yes. So I'm hoping this will work quite well. It's confusing because I'm looking in two places at the same time. Got one there and one here. Good, good. This drive is tiny, and I mean, this is tiny. Like I showed you guys yesterday. So this is I'll try and show you on there, but you're not going to see any better because that's only a small thumbnail. Anyway, this is an SSD, solid state drive. Now most new machines come with SSD. If you're buying a computer, I would recommend buying one that has an SSD versus an HDD. Now this actually gets installed in the one of the M2 slots on the motherboard. You will see it there. Should be able to get it. Yeah, my bearings on there, and it just slots in there. Okay, it has a locking screw. It goes into there. Okay, nice and easy. Solid state drives are well, they're not new. This has been around for a long time. We'll need one of these little screws, like I said earlier. See if I've got a little screwdriver set. Where's my pad? Screwdriver set out. I don't know what I did with it. I think this is small enough for that. We shall see. So the beauty about SSDs or solid state drives is they have no moving parts, and because of that they tend to be a lot more resilient to shock. Well, you can drop it and it's usually okay if it doesn't crack the board, really. In. My screwdriver, this screwdriver is not magnetized for some reason, so it's making me look very bad at the moment. Right screw? It's the right screw. Let's try this again. This is going to be a lengthy build, folks. I don't hustle up. What is happening? Where's that even gone? There. And you know, you would not think that I'd do this for a living, would you? No, I'd be like, freaking out, that guy's never built a computer in his life. but it is late in the evening, and I've actually been building machines all day. Why is this one not wanting to go in? I've got a different one. Folks, I shall be back in a second. I just need to grab certain screwdrivers next. In the room, folks, back in the room. Sorry about that. Slight tools of the trade, folks. Tools of the trade. That's what it comes down to, really. Magnetized screwdrivers. I don't know what I'd do without them. 10th time charm. Yes, it is in. So the beauty about this, because it goes straight on the board, there's no cables. So your primary drive is now installed. Okay, that's your main hard drive. I always recommend putting your operating system onto your primary hard drive, obviously, and try to make it an SSD as much as possible, where you've got the option really. So next up is our Corsair Vengeance, our RAM, random access memory. Basically, RAM is good. If you have a lot of RAM in your system, that is good. The more applications you run, the more processing power you'll need and the more RAM you'll need, as well as a faster hard drive. Now, there's only so much speed a hard drive can have anyway. But most of the times when you're running a machine, it's not slow because of the hard drive usually, although that can impact performance, obviously. Now, with the RAM sticks, okay, I'm going to try and see the quality on there, although that's focused on my desk and not on me at the moment. Usually, most motherboards, get off track here. Off track. Sorry about that, folks. So the old HDDs, plate drives, are the slowest now. I wouldn't recommend installing things to it. I would recommend having a solid state drive for your primary drive, even if it's a smaller one like 120, 240 gigabytes, and then installing your programs to that, and then using your older style plate drives as storage space for all your files and everything. If you do use a lot of files, if you're doing a lot of processing, video editing or whatever, then usually by now you already know what you're doing. So that RAM, I'm just going to check on here as well, folks. Let's see if there's anything on there. What up, Sam? Sam, shout out to my good boy Sam. I'm good, Sam. Thank you very much for that. Sorry I got your message a bit late. So the RAM gets put into there. Those are the RAM slots. Usually, most motherboards have a certain logic in which you put the RAM sticks in. So depending if you have down here, so if you have 1 stick, 2, 4, 3, usually different manufacturers have how to set up the RAM sticks. I usually go in pairs, so you got like 1, 2, 3, 4, A1, B1, and then you got an A2, B2. I'm not daydreaming. Different manufacturers mark it differently, but that's usually the case. So when you install a RAM, it's a dead easy job. So the RAM is now installed. See those black sticks there, nice and easy. Okay, I've kept the foam on there because it's nice to handle. So that's how easy it is to install RAM. As long as you purchase the correct type of RAM, because there's different frequencies, models. The latest one, we're on DDR4, with frequencies reaching over 4,000 megahertz. We're overclocking, but for this build, there's just 3,000 megahertz DDR4 from Corsair Vengeance. All makes and models are about the same, although there's questions always about stability and quality of other makes and models. Right, so the RAM is in, the processor's installed, we got hard drive on there, solid state drive as my primary hard drive. Okay, I'm gonna install the cooler. Now I have got, it's just a standard M4 fitting CPU cooler from Cooler Master. Now I will be installing a water cooling loom. I'll be installing water cooling loop on the system. However, luckily my preferred case, my case of choice, does have access on the back panel, so I can remove the brackets, the CPU brackets. So this will allow me to install it all, make sure it's all going, and once that's installing the operating system, I can go ahead and start working on my water cooling loop and plan how I'm going to install it all in the case, which we'll probably do in tomorrow's episode once it's all up and running. So that's if you keep tight and keep watching, like, share, subscribe to see new videos all the time, as well as reviews. Make requests. Tell me, yo dude, can you do that? Can you do that? Ask questions. If you have like technical questions, stuff like that, that's what I do for a living. So hopefully I'll be able to help. Okay, getting back to my screen here. I'm hoping that the stream is still all good. I don't really have a most of you guys saying it's okay, so I'm happy with that. This cooler is very easy. It just clips on either side, and then it has a little latch that locks down to create pressure on top of the CPU. So with the processor having a metal top against the cooler, it will help it transfer heat from one side to the other. Now this usually has a fan on it. It has a connector, a little connector, it's usually 4-pin fan connector, and you will see for the processor there's always a little, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, usually there's a little connector on the motherboard that usually says CPU fan, and that's where that needs to go. So if you're ever buying a computer or making your own, usually that's where that will go. If you have any sort of fan output on the motherboard that fits that, it will power on. However, the BIOS might give you an error saying that there's no CPU fan detected, in which case we'll have to either adjust it. You can go into BIOS and ignore that if you know it's plugged into somewhere that you can see it working. However, you won't get failure alarms. Or just remove it and find the appropriate slot for it to go. I always recommend have a read of the manual. the manual from ASRock. It is, I mean, you got the quick start guide in various languages. That's the software setup. And it is, I mean, it is big lecture. I know it's in a few languages, but it usually has very simple step-by-step instructions, even how to mount your M.2 drive on here. I don't know if you can see if this comes in. You can see on there. Okay, one thing I'm going to have to try and sort out is the actual quality of the image. So I've got my processor, got my cooler, so I can power it on and everything. Got my RAM in, got my storage. So I think it's time to get the power supply out and then install it into the case, and then install the motherboard in the case. Nice and easy. Right, so I'm just going to put that down here. I like to keep it on the anti-static bag. I do recommend you ground yourself and use the proper equipment just to avoid any sort of electrostatic shocks being transferred onto the motherboard, possibly making it dead. I do think, now I always say do what I say, not what I do. I think old motherboards seem to be a bit more sensitive, but touch wood, I've yet to kill one. Now on this build, I'll be using a Corsair CX600 series. Quite a nice, Corsair do quite nice power supplies. They're quiet, pretty efficient. This is not a modular PSU, sadly, which means you got all these gubbins to try and sort out. Okay, so it's not ideal, but it's quite a simple build. So I won't need power for the hard drive or anything, so I can just tuck all these away. Now when it comes to power supplies and cases, I would recommend as much as you can I tend to fit the power supply in first, because unless it's modular power supply, a lot of times depending on the case, you'll find at the top of the case where the motherboard meets the back, and I'll show you that in a second, there's not sufficient room to pass the power connector for the processor, which nowadays is 8-pin, although you can get some motherboards, performance motherboards, that require two 8-pin connectors, or an 8-pin and an additional 4-pin power connector. Now most of the motherboards that have the additional 4-pin power connector, they're designed to do so for any overclocking, and just a standard 8-pin will power it fine. In my situation with the B450M from ASRock, it does only have the 8-pin power connector, which I have, so quite easy. You just slot in. It's very easy to get it right. Now luckily with the case, they did provide a bag of accessories. So you've got the remote from let's see if that's any better. Okay, that's the remote from the LEDs. Also included some like bread tie things. Not impressed with them, but some extra thumb screws for the case in case you lose any. I will be using my own custom ones anyway. I do have some very nice anodized aluminium ones, which I like to use. Just a bit colour really. They also included, luckily, this little bag with all the little bits and pieces that you need. Some case screws, some component screws, as well as the screws required to attach the motherboard to the case itself. So I'm just going to open that up. Okay, so obviously there's different types of screws for different purposes. Usually you get notes on that. 9 times out of 10, if it's a screw like that, I don't know if you can see it, got like a proper taper on it. That's five or 6 mil, I don't know. That's usually a case screw or a power supply screw, or a hard drive. You can use it for hard drives as well, that sort of format. Now, if the screw is tiny, flatter head like that, thinner, smaller thread, that's usually for sometimes, depending on the case, for the actual motherboard. So you can screw the motherboard onto the case itself. For you can use it for 2.5-inch drives, as well as optical drives. They also use the same connection, the same thread. Okay, so we'll get the case out here, up here. Now I don't try to be groovy and sensation like Tony Blackburn. I'm just reading a comment on somebody's post on here, which is quite funny. Initially I thought it was like, what, me? I am groovy and sensational. I don't know who Tony Blackburn is, but I'll give him a run for his money. So I'm just going to grab my case from yonder. I know it looks like I'm going the wrong way, but I'm going that way where my case is. So ouch. Sorry, folks. This is my case. I think I might have to adjust that a little bit. I can see my face. That's this is my case. It's the Element Gaming from eBuyer.com. I'm here. Ooh, I'm here. Hello. No, if you think there. Hello. Hello. So as I said earlier, luckily this case has a quite a nice access hole, so I can change the backplate of the CPU bracket if I need to, which I will be once I sort out the water cooling. The power supply will go at the bottom here. So that's where I'm going to put it. So I should try and do it that way. How do we put this through now? Because now, depending how long your cables are, that will make an impact. There's no vents, so there's no vents at the top. The power supplies have one fan. Okay. So what I recommend you do when you install it into your computer case, whatever case, there's many designs and a lot of them will be open. Some of them, the cheaper ones, depending what they are, will have a slot at the top for the power supply. It's the standard, it's called an ATX power supply. This case has a compartment for the power supply. What that does is it helps separate the units from the power supply, so it helps avoid the transfer of heat between the two. Power supplies get quite hot, systems get quite hot, so it seems to be the norm nowadays to separate the two. Okay, so in this case the fan has to be pointing down because that's where I've got my vent, which has a removable mesh filter, which is quite nice, which will be important for cleaning. We'll talk about cleaning another time. Well, Um, that just slides into there. Neat. I could do with more lights, folks. But, we'll sort that out another night. I'm gonna try and make do at the moment as it is, and hopefully you'll be. Don't even have anything to really. Don't know if that makes it a bit better. Not really. I need some more powerful bulbs, but I don't know what they are. So using the case screws I've shown you earlier, quite thick ones. You will see that there's holes on the case, on the back of the head case. Head case? I'm a head case. Man, you crazy! Lordy. You will see that there's holes on the case that actually match the screw holes on the power supply itself. If they don't match, don't put a screw there. So it's quite simple. Depending on what kind of power supply you'll have, they'll look slightly different locations, but they tend to be quite universal because of that. It's an industry standard, as I say. So try and get them nice and tight to avoid rattling and vibration, to help avoid rattling and vibration. Now, luckily, I've got this. Normally, I use a different Phillips screwdriver, but my toolbox obviously is in my van, folks. So, and it's raining and wet and horrible and miserable outside. I'm not keen on that. So I decided to just use my trusty Draytech screwdriver that has it's interchangeable, has 4 ends, 2 Phillips and 2 flathead. So, I was mentioning earlier about the CPU power cable. Oh, no, that's GPU, that's graphics. So, the CPU. Oh, again, how do I grab the same cable? Oh, it has 2. Oh, PCI Express. Okay, we'll press that button when we get there. So, grabbing the main CPU cable. So that's the main power cable for the motherboard. You can just see it, right? And you'll go through a little hole at the top of here. You'll see it poking inside the case like that. I like to just put it in so I know that's in. So that being said, I'm actually gonna get stand out, drink, get up, drink. So now, folks, we got our power supply installed. So it's down here. You can see the writing there. We're actually gonna flip her over. Yeah, dirty boys. I can't really see what I'm doing. So let me see if I can. These a bit. I'm hoping we'll see a bit more inside there. Okay, so we're still there. I can see myself a bit on here, almost. That's not too bad. So in here, I'm gonna put to go is the back plate. Okay, that goes on the back of the case, which creates that link between the inside and the outside. That's what's called the back plate. That goes in a slot at the back on there, and that's usually push it in from the inside towards the outside. Some of the higher end motherboards have it pre-installed onto the motherboard itself. However, this is just like I'd say a mid-range motherboard. So it goes from the inside. That's it. Actually, I recommend once you put it in, make sure it's all fitting correctly. Okay, so that's in. Again, the power cable that I said it's already inside, which helps. Ready to get the motherboard out. Do we need any more standoffs? So with this case, we need 2 more standoffs. I think 2 for there, 1 there. So they're called standoffs. Okay. Now what these do, they actually raise the motherboard up from the actual chassis of the case, and you'll see they have predetermined holes where they go, which match the holes in the motherboard. So if you install your motherboard and you see there's a hole through the motherboard where there is no standoffs, try and install them there. They act as support as well. So when you're like clicking in components and stuff like that, that does help support the board. So I'm gonna hopefully get this done for you guys tonight. So the motherboard just slots in like that, and you make sure that the actual connectors on the back match up with the back plate, as well as the connectors inside. So we've got a hole here that doesn't have anything on it, so I reckon that normally you can use a special little dahiki, the standoff screwdriver thing. But mine is in my toolbox. Not like I was planning to do this today and I was ill prepared. No, far from it. No, 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 no. I joke. That will go in there. I'm sure that'll still give me access to the motherboard. I'm just going to double check underneath. Yes, I'll still be able to remove the bracket, CPU bracket. So I'm hoping you'll be able to see this nice and oh, if I only could have it like that. Anyway, a bit of focus on that bad boy. That will help a bit. Now, ironically, tonight I'm running an interesting setup. I've actually got my phone set up as a webcam through IP. For some reason, Huawei decided in their wisdom that their software is absolutely useless. Now, I'm sorry if this offends anybody or upsets anybody. Huawei make great phones. They've been doing telecoms for many, many, many years. If any of you had old mobile dongles, 3G and stuff like that, most of them were from Huawei. Huawei. Now I'm gonna get my magnetized screwdriver because my posh one is not magnetized. Again, I feel very unprepared. Now, what I recommend to do when you're installing the motherboard into the case is make sure all your screws are in, and I usually leave them in loosely because sometimes the case might be warped a bit or the standoffs might not be straight, so you might need to jiggle a bit to make sure that the screws securely lock into the thread properly, which avoids damaging the thread, or even worse, having a screw stuck in the standoff. And because they're only small screws, it needs to be straight, and they stuck in the motherboard, which is not ideal at all, and it can lead to many problems. I speak out of experience, so yeah, listen to me. I was once a child. I built my first computer when I was 13. I think it was a Pentium 2. It's quite cool because it's from my brother-in-law. I was so happy. I had a 17-inch fatback monitor. It had, I think it was 32 megabytes of RAM, but it was enough to run Windows 98. I used to run Winamp on it, and those who know, Winamp is a MP3 player software. Also plays videos and stuff like that. Okay, I think I need one more. I'm missing one down there. So let's get that in there. So nearly there, folks. Nearly there. Okay. So that's it. So that power cable, I'm going to connect to the power connector. It's usually top left of the motherboard. In this case, ironically, there was plenty of space for the connector to go through the hole, even with the motherboard installed. So that's fine. That's quite nice. That's okay. Now this case fan will actually go through the back of the case to connect the back. This has a Molex connector. This is a Molex connector. Usually looks something like this. Okay, quite fat, and it's got in through. And that's the fan. That's the fan header. 3-pin. I don't know if you can really see it. Fan header. And the Molex one there. That's a. It's called a pass through. Hold on. In here. Oh, the light. I need more light. That's what I need. So I think what I'll do, folks, I will. I really need more light in here. So, oh, it's a bit hot. I'm hoping this helps a bit more. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Right. Although I'm a bit like thinking there's more light in the case here, which is brilliant. So Molex and power connector go to the back of the case. I'll do cable management afterwards. Now, another thing we need is the 24-pin. This is the large ATX power connector. We need the front panel connectors. Now, the front panel connector is FP connectors. It's usually in a bunch. Hang on a minute. The fans, I think. Tied together, snipped off. I'm gonna try and blitz through this, guys. Sorry, It's usually a lot faster. I mean, I could probably build this machine in about 40 minutes, nothing major. Now, you've got all your different connectors on here. It's quite easy. So this is the blue one. It's usually USB 3.0. Has a unique shape, pins, and was struggling a bit. Okay. See? Why is it not acting that? So actually where that goes. These are your next. And then your the apologies for my manicure. Not set up for that. So we'll go like this. So let's get these through this hole on here. Show you if it'll fit. Ooh, it does not fit through the hole, folks. Not fit through the hole. So let's see what other spaces we can take it through. We'll take it through here. Well, we got USB 3.0. In this case, the USB is on this side. So what you're trying to do when you're cable managing, you're just trying to get cable closest as you can through a hole to where you need to plug it in. And this one will go through here. This hole. Now, usually are at the bottom of the case, bottom of the motherboard. There. Okay. We also need the big power connector. I try to take them out, straighten them. Okay, so let's flip her over again. So in here, that's as much as I can go. I'm going to try it and get it powered on for you guys tonight. Should be about 5-10 minutes tops. Now with these connectors, the big connectors, you can't really go wrong in putting it in. They usually only fit one place, and they have a little latch. Once it's in completely, it clicks on, so it doesn't fall out. I recommend you give it gentle, but gentle pressure. Is that a thing? And then just to make sure you're not breaking the board itself, so it's got a bit of support. Same with the USB 3.0, that just slots in, and then you have your USB. I think I'm missing my front audio, so I'm missing a connector. Now USB again has only one place to go, which is marked. You'll find that on all of them they've got this little notch that's blanked off, and that gives a bit more of a hand to find out where it goes. Now I'm missing I'm sure I'm missing a cable. I don't know why a bunch. Oh, there we go. This also has front audio, which says HD audio on it. You can't. The camera's struggling to focus in on that. That's what it says on there. So that goes on there. That only goes one way in one place. They're quite easy. I think they made it quite easy I think that made it quite easy to build computers from that point of view. With the front panel connectors, again, it's quite easy with the power button and the LED. Check the manual. There's details, instructions on that. A lot of times it's marked on the motherboard itself. So that's what I'm going to do. So, they're usually all the same, okay? Within reason. Please consult your manual, have a look at your manual. But because I've been building these for a long time, this one actually has markings on the motherboard itself. It's a little writing that says what is what. See, hard drive LED activity, hard drive LED in there. We also got power LED, so we get. Okay, so we've got all our front panel connectors in. We have our switches on. We've got our audio. Okay. What else do we need? That is in. Let's get that pushed in there nicely. I like to make it nice and tidy where possible. Okay, so that's that. We need a graphics card. Now, this doesn't have onboard graphics. More stuff. I'm just going to use just an older 1 gigabyte graphics card from MSI. You'll find that there's some slots. Okay, on the back of the case there'll be some slots on there. They're usually blanked off. Okay, so they usually have a locking screw in. Take that off. Okay. Usually how do you take this? Slide off if you let me. If she'll let me. Yes, okay. So graphic card, there's usually some blanking. No, that will this one. Just break off. It's just one of those things on cheaper cases. They're not you just like cementing it, bend it backwards and forward. And it breaks really. Now this is a dual slot, so it needs 2 holes, as it were, to fit. So we'll get to open it up. Okay, now we'll get that slots in, so a long PCI Express, which will match that on there. Again, make sure you buy the right stuff. Consult your manual. Most places that sell computer components have online advisors and stuff like that, which will be able to help you out. I think I damaged the card a long time ago. I dropped it, so I benched the PCI Express So that should. Well, if you heard that little click, it's got a little lever that locks in the graphics card. I'm going to put the shield back on. Should on. I'm hoping if I can find the right place. There we go. So, it also requires there too. Hold in any place, which is enough. I usually put locking screw onto the graphics card itself. These are interesting screws. Okay, one of these boys. Just to ensure that the graphic card is not going anywhere. Okay, now I've just noticed that I'm a bit away for you guys. That's a bit in the way for you. So I'll move. No. You on there. Okay. So this also needs additional power. Mass power, that's what it's called. Depending on the graphics card model, might not require it. This one, however, does. Although it's not a powerful graphics card, it's an old generation one. So it only requires, it's called 6-pin PCI Express power. Most modern GPUs, as they're called, graphic processing units, require 8-pin minimum. Sometimes 8-pin plus 6-pin. So we are pretty much all wired in. We just need a screen and an installation media. And in this case, we're going to be installing Windows off a USB drive. I've created a Windows for this. You can create this from Microsoft. So I've got a little around here, just a tiny one. Okay. And okay. Alright. What we're using? VGA? No, we've not got VGA. That's HDMI. Turn on. Yes, you caught me. It's a little. I'm not gonna lie. It's a little TV. A little old TV. Tiny little TV. But works. So that's installed. Now I also need a keyboard. Oh, I'm going to kill myself here. A keyboard, just a standard USB keyboard. I recommend if you're doing installations, use the USB keyboards and not wireless ones. Sometimes there can be a delay with wireless keyboards, which means you won't be able to get post screen, and pressing keys will be delayed. So we're ready to put power on and see what is. Hopefully, folks. Aha! Now you guys can't see it now because it's actually gone. The fact that I've got light working my disadvantage. What you will see inside here, actually pretty lights. So I'm hoping one. So what you'll hear is the. I don't think you'll hear it. You should get the fan spinning. I'm hoping the graphics card does work. Now I might do a couple of cycles because it's got a new processor and RAM in there, which I'm hoping what the case will be for this one. Assuming all the parts do work. Now I've had issues with the motherboard I purchased previously. It failed, so I'm hoping that's not the case with this one. Not getting any lights on the keyboard yet. I'm hoping they will get some lights now. If not, it means that I've like wasted your time a bit, and I don't have a working system. Basically, if you're not getting any lights on your keyboard, it's not a good sign. If the system keeps powering on and off, it's not a good sign. Motherboard seems to be working. Nothing else. Not good. It's not good, folks. Okay. Let's see if we got a different graphics card. Maybe the graphics card's a bit rough. So folks, you know the thing about live builds, you never know what's going to happen. You just cross your fingers and hope that everything works fine. This is one of those situations. I do have a different graphics card. Even older ones. So in this case, it's either the motherboard or the processor that's at fault. I think the RAM is okay. This one is VGA. Okay. VGA cable up here. I've not checked out any messages or anything like that. Night Sam, cool. Okay, so we've got, this does not require additional power, so it's only basic. So let's give it something really. The fact that it's not throttling up and down makes me believe there might be something wrong with the processor. Usually the processor throttles up and down. Switch. No, it's just. So, guys, I'm not gonna lie. Um, so folks, thank you for watching. My name is Dragos2020. Give us a like, give us a share, subscribe. As it stands, we are no go. I shall be troubleshooting tomorrow. I'll see what the hell is happening with this throttling up and down. It's a shame because it looks pretty. It's got lights on it and everything, but that's not the point. It doesn't seem to boot up. So I shall get a spare CPU as I don't have one. And yeah, hopefully we'll get it sorted, and tomorrow we'll have something else to show people. But thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your night. And we'll catch you later. Thank you very much. And good night, folks. Lordy, lordy, what a ride this has been.